guys, today we are going to learn about volume of triangular prisms. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to use the formula to find the amount of space inside a 3D object, which is called volume. This is going to be pretty similar to your last lesson where you found volume of prisms, of rectangular prisms, but now it's going to be just a little bit different. Go ahead and get out your notes and be ready to learn. Again, a triangular prism uses the same formula as a rectangular prism that we learned in the last lesson. Area equals big B times H. And you've got to remember that big B is actually the area of the base. And H is still height. However, in triangular prisms, it's a little bit different. So since the base is actually a triangle, big B is actually the area of a triangle instead of a rectangle like it was in your last lesson. That's going to end up giving us big B, or area of the base, and then the height of the prism is the distance between the bases, and so that is how we're going to get our height, which is little h. Again, we have to review how to find the area of a triangle, and we have a formula, and that is base times height divided by 2. First triangle, the base is 14, and the height is 7, and I'm going to multiply those together, and then divide by 2. I know the height because of this line right here. The height is from the tip of the triangle down to the very bottom, and so that is this line right here. We know for height, like if you go to the doctor's office and they're going to measure you for your height, they tell you to stand straight up. So if you look at this line right here, that's not a straight up line. So if you were to stand crooked, you wouldn't have an accurate height. They want you to stand nice and tall, so that would be this line right here. Then I end up with this triangle has an area of 49 feet squared. Remember that little 2 is the squared. I want you to go ahead and pause the video and figure out the area for the next 2 triangles. Play when you're ready to check with me. For our one in the middle here, the base was 6.1, the height was 3.2, so we get a total area of 9.76 centimeters squared. For the last one, the base is 9, the height is 10, so we get an area of 45 meters squared. We're going to look at some prisms. It says to shade the base of each of the figures below and then label the height of the figure and the height of the triangular base. So bases are the triangles. So for this one, here is one base, that triangle, and then the other base is directly across from it or parallel. For this image, here is the triangular base and here is the other triangular base. Then the height is actually the distance between those 2 bases. So in this image, from here to here, that's the height. And in this image, from here to here, that's the height. You also are going to need the height of the triangular base, and so that's how tall the triangle is. So you can see I've got the height of the prism outlined in yellow there. And then this is the height of the triangle base, so from the top of the triangle to the bottom of the triangle. And then this is the height of this triangle base. So that's not necessarily the height of the prism, that's not the little h that we're going to be using, but we're still going to need the height of the triangle for our formula. So down here, it says to find the volume of the triangular prism below, and we're going to use the chart to show our steps. So our formula is the same as it was in our last lesson. We're going to have to find the area is big B times H. But I need to know what big B is, and big B is the area of the base, and the base are the triangles. So for triangles, we are going to do base times height divided by 2. So I need to start by finding big B. So in this case, the base of the triangle is 4, and the height of the triangle is this gray line right here. Not the height of the prism, the height of the triangle. So for big B, I'm going to have 4 times 3.5 and divide that by 2 to get 7. I also wrote this a little wrong. We're not finding area anymore. We're finding volume, so that should be V equals big B times H. So big B is 7, and now I can plug that into my volume formula. Big B is 7, and then we need the height of our triangle, or triangular prism. So our height of our triangular prism is this right here, the distance between the 2 triangles, and that is also 7. So now to find the volume, all I need to do is 7 times 7, which is 49. But we need units. So in this picture, our units are feet, and volume is measured in cubic units. So for this one, it's going to be 49 feet cubed. Also, if you'll go back up here to the top, I made a mistake here as well. You'll change this formula right here. It should actually be V equals big B times H. I was so worried about the area of the base that I put A here instead of V, but we're actually finding volume, so you need to have V there as that letter. On the back, we've got to remember that a figure is named by the shape of the base, which are the two faces that do not intersect. So we're going to practice finding the volume of these figures below. The formula is going to be the same. Volume equals big B times H. Big B is also going to be the same formula. Base times height of our triangle divided by 2. So for this first one, I need to find the area of the triangle. Base of the triangle is 8, and the height of the triangle is 6. I can see that it's 6 because this is the height, and if that side is 6, then this side is also 6. So to find the area of this triangle, I'm going to do 8 times 6 divided by 2. That gives me 24, and then I need to multiply that by the height of our figure. The height of our figure is from one triangle to the other, which is 7. So to get the volume, I'm going to do 24 times 7, which is 168, but I need some units. This figure is talking about centimeters, so I'm going to have centimeters cubed for my units. Let's look at number 3. Here, I want you to go ahead and pause and find the area of the base. So I want you to find big B. So the base of that triangle is 9, the height of that triangle is 12, so the area of the base is 54. Next, we need the height of the prism. The height of the prism here is 8. So finally, we need to figure out what is the volume. When we do 54 times 8, we get 432. Our units here again are centimeters, so we have centimeters cubed. Go ahead and pause the video, do 4 all by yourself, and then press play when you're ready to check. So big B there is 15, and then 15 times the height of the prism is 8.4, so we get a total volume of 126 centimeters cubed. The next section says to draw a picture, set up an equation using a formula, and solve each of the problems below. 5 says the base of a triangular prism has an area of 18 square inches. If the height of the prism is 9.5 inches, then what is the volume of the prism? I'm definitely not very artistic, but there's the triangular base. Then we need to connect that to what would be the other side, which should also be a triangle. Since we probably can't see through this figure, I'm just going to make some little dashed lines right here to show the other side. So do the best to make a sketch like mine on your paper. Already tells us that the base of the triangular prism is 18 square inches. So we already know big B, and our volume formula is big B times H. We need the height of our prism, which in the problem tells us is 9.5 inches. So to find the volume, we're going to multiply 18 by 9.5. This gives me a volume of 171 inches cubed. Number 6 is a little bit different. It says a triangular prism has a volume of 240 meters cubed. The area of the base is 16 meters squared. What is the height of the triangular prism? So in most of our problems so far, we have been solving for volume. In this case, we're actually going to be solving for the height. So in our formula, we've got volume equals big B times H. And really, each of these letters is just a variable, and we can substitute numbers in for any of the 3 variables. So it tells me, first of all, that the volume is 240 meters cubed. So where V is, I'm going to put 240. Then it tells us that the area of the base is 16 meters cubed, and the area of the base is big B. So in place of big B, I'm going to put 16. And then it says, what is the height of the triangular prism? So that is what we're going to solve for. That is our unknown, so that is going to be our variable of H. Now we're kind of going back to one of our units where we had equations and we had to solve for them. So here we have a one-step equation, and I'm trying to get H by itself. Right now it's being multiplied by 16, so I have to do the inverse or the opposite, and I need to divide by 16. Remember that I like to have a mirror here, and whatever you do on one side, you are supposed to do on the other, so I need to divide by 16 on the other side. 240 divided by 16 is 15, and then on the other side, 16 divided by 16 is 1, so I'm just left with 1h. So our height here is 15. It's important, though, that we have units, and when we're measuring volume, they're cubic units. We already had our volume as cubic units. Then when we're talking about area, that's square units. When we're just talking about regular height, that is just regular units. Like when you go and get measured, you're measured in feet and inches, but just regular feet and inches. No squares, no cubes. So this is going to be 15 meters. The last question says the dimensions of a triangular prism are shown below. What is the volume of the prism in cubic feet? I want you to go ahead and pause the video, do this one completely on your own, and then press play when you're ready to check. So when we use our formula here, the triangle is 17.5. The area of the triangle is 17.5, and the height of our prism is 11. So our total volume is 192.5 feet cubed. One thing you needed to be careful about here is we had all these different numbers, and you needed to figure out the important numbers. Well, to get the base of the triangle, that's 5, because if that side of the rectangle is 5, that side is also 5. The height of the triangle is this dotted line. And then the height of the prism is the distance between the two bases. So from one triangle to the other triangle. Then you have this extra number here, this 7.4 feet. And that's what's not important, because that is this like slanted height, and that isn't what we need for volume. We want the straight up and down height. Now that you have made it to the end of the lesson, tell me, would you rather travel back in time or travel to the future? By the end of this lesson, you should now be able to use the formula to find the amount of space inside a 3D object, which is volume. Let me know if you have any questions. Bye, guys.